So you're Dallas born, right? I mean,
I'm Fort Worth born.
Fort Worth born.
Yeah.
Okay. Wikipedia's got it wrong.
Oh, well, I've been
Well,
in
they
Dallas.
probably call everything Dallas, you know?
I've been in Dallas for I don't know. I've started as soon as I got a car. I came to Dallas every
Yeah.
weekend for a skate park or punk rock show or something, and then right out of high school I moved to Dallas.
Right out of high school. But you started tattooing at what, 17? Something like that? 16,
well, I started
17?
tattooing myself at 17.
Yeah?
I didn't start tattooing as a job till I was 21.
Wow. Let's talk about all that.
Long hair tattoo free.
KHYI 95.3 The Range. He may be the only hell his mama ever raised. I don't know about that. Oliver Peck, a good friend of yours, Matt Hilliard.
That's my buddy.
And those guys are breaking up in November, man.
I wouldn't call it breaking up.
Changing, evolving.
Yeah, some people just gotta rest for a little while.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Is this mic working? Check
This
it out.
this mic is on. It is hot, man. It is live.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
You're a fan of this kind of music.
I love Matt the Cat. I love 1100 Springs. I pretty much love every band he was in. I met him when he was a kid. We've been friends since he was probably 18 years old.
Yeah.
He came in a tattoo shop right down the street from his high school there.
Yeah.
You know, Paradise was on the corner of Elm and Pearl, and just, I don't know, maybe 6 blocks down from where, what is that name of that high school? Woodrow
Wilson.
Yeah. So him and a bunch of people, I don't know if you ever heard of Todd Deathridge either, but they went to
Yeah,
high school together.
yeah,
They used to
Todd,
play
yeah.
music together, and I tattooed them up when as soon as they turned 18 and bummed their mamas out.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this: what was the first tattoo that you ever gave to somebody, not yourself?
Well, I did a little, what you call the hand poke deal,
Yeah.
where you just take a sewing needle and dip it in the back of a broken open ballpoint pen and get some ink on it and stab yourself a few thousand times till you leave a mark. And I did a couple little doodads, and I did a couple of those on some of my friends.
Yeah.
We were like 16, 17 years old.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of folks may not know this. You hold the world record for the most tattoos in a what is it? Is it a 1 hour period or
24 hours.
24-hour period? Yeah, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Tattooed 415 people.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing, and hasn't been come close to anybody breaking it.
Well, there's a couple different stats on what you would call the record, but the Guinness book had parameters for what a tattoo had to be.
Yeah.
It was 2 inches by 3 inches with black and one color, and so that's what I did.
Wow.
It's not a tiny little dot, but like
Like an actual tattoo.
big enough to be an actual tattoo. So when we set the record, you know, you could just do a dot and count it as a tattoo, but Guinness said, well, you have to actually do something. So they did some research, decided that
This is what it's got to be.
it's got to be 2 inches by 3 inches. So some other people have done smaller little tats
Yeah,
and done more than 415.
but they're not official. They're not
They're on
Guinness.
some different record book.
Yeah, but they're not in the record book. I mean, this
Some
is
guy-
the record
Some
book.
guy did like 1,500 tattoos in one day, but they were like real small, and he did like 300 of them on one person.
Wow, 300 on one person. That's crazy.
I mean, I could do 1,000 dots on somebody in about 10 minutes.
Right? Just boom, 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 boom. There you go. So we were talking about the fact that you love this kind of music. You love it so much. You told me something when we talked on Saturday, when we connected on Saturday, that you're opening up a venue in Tyler.
That is correct. We took over what was previously called Durango's Canyon, in right outside of Henderson, Texas, right between Tyler, Longview, and Nacogdoches, and it's a big open outdoor amphitheater. It turns out it's the best sounding natural amphitheater in the entire state of Texas.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's a beautiful place, and It's got some RV park and some cabins and some trails, but a big, big arena with a big stage and beautiful property. And took it over. We changed the name to Yellow Rose Canyon.
Yeah.
This Saturday is our first show.
You got the Vandaliers.
We got the Vandaliers Trio. We've got Matt the Cat.
Yeah. Who we were just talking about.
Abraham Alexander. And we've got Black Sunday. I don't know if you've heard of Black Sunday.
I have not heard of Black Sunday yet.
The guy previously went by his own name, A.J. Johnson.
Okay.
But he just got a full band and decided to give it a name. But it's definitely along the lines of, the Lucero and the,
well, you just had
country type stuff.
Yeah, you just had Lucero at your 4th of July party, didn't you? Or
somebody?
Yeah.
Ben Nichols from Lucero at the 4th of July party with 40 Acre Mule and
Matt.
And Matt the Cat and Boys Named Sue, also one of my
I
favorites.
love those guys. Boys Named Sue, they're awesome, man. I love those guys. Them and the Bastard Sons of Johnny Cash, I love those guys too.
Great.
Yeah, great bands. You're also a fan of Robert Earl Keen.
Love him.
We're going to let you this hour pick some of the music that we're going to play, some of the bands that you like and stuff. And you picked a Robert Earl Keen song that is just one of the quintessential Robert Earl Keen songs you got to play. I'll let you introduce it.
Well, if you like to party and you like country music, then the road goes on forever and the party never ends.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's this? Black Sun?
Black Sunday.
Black Sunday. I got to check those guys out.
Yeah, they've.
But they're like Lucero, right?
Lucero is like he's like a huge fan.
Okay.
That and I'm drawing a blank on he really loves Whiskey Town and
yeah.
And what's the Slobberbone?
Loves Slobberbone, yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So he really, he also likes Social Distortion. So first time I saw him, he covered a Slobberbone song, and I was like, oh, this guy knows what's going on, But I just tattooed him, and he's like, oh man, I play music, and then.
And just fell in love with his music.
Yeah. We're like, oh, we're gonna check it out, and we the next day we came to work. Oh, let's put on that guy, from yesterday, see what it's like. I'm like, that's actually pretty good. But yeah, he played a gig for us out in Fredericksburg. We did a motorcycle show.
Yeah.
We had some bands.
That's right. You ride bikes because I've seen that on your Instagram too.
Yes, sir. But have you ever heard of the Outbound Train?
Outbound Train, yeah.
Oh man, those guys. I don't think that what they do translates to recorded music very well.
Right, but
just because of what it is.
But their live show kicks ass.
But there's a lot of bands like that.
Yeah.
But their recorded music is good, but when you see them live, it's just you feel like you're really seeing something that doesn't exist anymore. This guy is reborn from the 20s, 30s, 40s country music. It is unbelievable.
Kind of like Charlie Crockett.
Yeah.
Charlie is so awesome, man.
Charlie is a little more. Charlie's got finesse.
Yeah.
The Outbound Train and Alan Nichols, they've got something special. And you got to see it. You got to see it live to see it.
I'm going to grab a Vandaliers tune. Is there? Here's what I've got. If there's any one that you like, I got Bluebonnet Highway every Saturday night. Hank, Red Dress, Wildflower, Cigarettes in the Rain. Gonna Be 500 Miles.
I like the Saturday night song.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. Every Saturday night, and they're playing Saturday night.
Right. So that's perfect. Right. So we'll do that one after Robert Earl, and then we'll talk out of the Vandaliers again. Any other bands you want me to see what we got? I can do another 1100 if you want.
I'll play Jesse Dayton song if you got.
Yeah, I got Jesse. Jesse's a good buddy. I have got, let's see, the Duct Tape song, Arkansas Chrome. I've got Carmelita. I've got Eaton Crow, Drinking Sand, Freebird, his version. Hey Nash Vegas, which is awesome.
Eaton Crow's good.
Eating Crow. All right. We'll throw that in there. We got to do some Sturgill. Have you heard his version of Paradise yet by John Prine?
I don't know if I have or not.
It's brand new. It just came out. Let's see. Let me see if I play a little bit of it here. Let me. Oops. Can't pull that one down. Okay, so this is.
I was a child, my family would travel down western Kentucky where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered so many times that my memories are worn. Daddy won't take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but too late in asking, since to be by the coal train is hauled it away.
It's great.
Sometimes we travel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you got his last two albums where he did the two bluegrass cutting grass.
We've been listening to it at the shop.
It's
good.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, we went and saw him at Red Rocks, but he was opening up for I can't even remember the name of the band, but it was like people were leaving after Sturgill.
He's so good. I mean, that night I saw him at Dada, I stayed for both shows when he played Dada that night, and I got to go on the bus and interview him, which you wouldn't believe it, but he is like one of the shyest individuals when it comes to trying to interview, because his stage presence is awesome. Then when you get in there and you're sitting on the bus and you're talking to him and everything, he's just like really shy, really quiet, and doesn't like to do that kind of stuff. It was a pretty good, cool moment, you know?
Hell yeah.
Especially when you find out that, you know, people that you admire are that way in person, you know? They're good souls. I love that. These guys are so good. I've had Joshua Fleming over at the house. So I don't know how many times to do interviews. He's so good, man.
Yeah.
And now he's a dad too.
Yeah, Ben was like, "Hey, we're thinking about taking this band from Dallas out on tour. What do you think?" I'm like, you know, and he's like, the Vandaliers like, well, "You should definitely do it." They went out on the opening tour with Lucero a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was great. Great.
There we go. Vandaliers every Saturday night. Of course, this Saturday night they're going to be at Yellow Rose Canyon in Tyler, which we happen to have the proprietor of that air place in studio with us, Mr. Oliver Peck. And man, they're such a great band.
Love them.
Do you remember the first time you heard them? I mean, do you remember what show you were at when you first heard them? Or
I'm almost positive it was just at Three Links.
Yeah.
You know, small little show. It was a few years ago, and never heard of them before, and they were just playing. And then, you know, sometimes you're paying attention to the band, sometimes you're not, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, who is this?
Exactly.
These guys are good.
These guys are real good, and
Yeah.
that happens a lot on this scene. You'll go to a show, maybe you go to a Robert Earl Keen show or a Jack Ingram show or a Randy Rogers show, and the opening band will catch your attention. You were just talking about that a little while ago. There was a show that you saw Sturgill at, and all the people. He was opening up for somebody, and then what happened when Sturgill was done? Everybody just left.
I don't even remember who the main band was.
It's crazy, but music has, especially our kind of music, has that kind of effect on folks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is that what made you want to have your own music venue, or
Man,
to kind of help these guys?
Man, this thing really fell into our lap. I put on a lot of shows. I put on a lot of events, and every event I put on, whether it's a motorcycle show or a tattoo show, I always bring music to the table.
Yeah.
At a tattoo convention, you can get tattooed, but if you want to hang out longer, you got to have some entertainment. You got to
Right.
have good music. So we put on our show down at Deep Ellum, and people come from all over the country to come to the tattoo show, but they end up finding all these great Texas bands because we always have local bands play the show.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And we went to this venue to scope it out about putting on a show there. And then turns out the property was going up for sale, and I had to enlist the help of some partners to get
Right.
it done. I couldn't do it myself, but me and some partners got it done, and we opened this Saturday night with
That's
the
awesome.
Vandaliers.
With the Vandaliers, man, that is awesome. And then maybe at some point you can bring in Sturgill or Tyler Childers.
I mean,
or,
it's a big enough amphitheater
yeah.
for anything, and it's been a venue for a long time. Robert Earl Keen's played there, Willie Nelson's played there.
All the greats.
You name it in country music over the years, they've probably played there. It's been operating for like 15 years, I think.
Yeah. You're such a fan of this kind of music. Is there somebody that you've always wanted to see that you've never got to see live?
Man, I've go to shows constantly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my big one that I never got to see was Bob Seger.
Oh, yeah. I saw Bob once when he played Reunion Arena here in Dallas a few years ago.
Yeah, I should have done it.
He was wearing his tracksuit and his tennis shoes on stage.
I love Bob Seger growing up.
Yeah.
With that kind of music, the rock and roll with the country feel, or the country with the rock and roll feel, where the two worlds collide. A lot of my favorite musicians kind of cross that rock and roll border.
Yeah.
And even like Johnny Cash was pretty rock and roll.
Oh, Johnny Cash was very rock and roll.
And Social Distortion is kind of country.
Yeah.
So it's even punk rock or country or rock and roll or whatever, the mix, it's just so. As far as I saw Merle.
Yeah, wow. I never got to see Merle.
And,
Never.
I was pretty, it was quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was one of my dad's favorites.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that. I don't know.
Yeah. I never got to see Guy Clark live. And
Yeah,
I kind of regret
I never
that.
saw Guy Clark. Would love to see Guy Clark.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I got to see my favorite concert moment. I was at the Ryman a few years ago for the Americana Awards, and John Prine was on stage with Bonnie Raitt, and they sang together.
Oh man.
Yeah, Angel from Montgomery is what they sang together. It was just like this magical moment, and I love moments like that.
And I love that everybody's learning who John Prine is now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of John Prine, Sturgill Simpson, who we both have an affinity for, has done a John Prine tune called Paradise, and we're going to do that next, right here on KHYI.
Sounds good.
Then I'll go into Jesse Dayton out of that. Throw out some questions. I got what's the most useless piece of knowledge you know?
I forgot it.
Because it was useless, right? If you want to, I've got to play some commercials too.
Yeah.
But if you want to, I normally do the impossible question to give away. We could do that with the listeners, or I can save that for, and I could give you the question to read for the impossible question, and and then we'll have the listeners call in if they want to do that and answer that. Then we've got Earl Pitts coming up right at 8:30, and you can stay as long or as short as you want too. I'm not,
Okay.
whatever if you got to go somewhere.
What happens at 8:30?
Earl Pitts, American. Have you ever heard Earl Pitts?
I don't know.
He's it's a commentary type thing. He's just it's a little satire piece that we play
Okay.
on the station.
I've probably heard it.
Actually, I need to move Jesse to the other side of the commercials in the. You a Zane Williams fan? You like him?
What's that?
Zane Williams? Do you like Zane? Or do you know Zane?
I haven't heard much of it, I don't think.
He's a McKinney boy. Well, we've got this song going on. Can I maybe get you to do a liner real quick for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so all it is it's, hey, this is Oliver Peck from Elm Street Tattoo, or whatever you want to say. You're waking up with Chuck Taylor in the All-Star Morning Show on 95.3 The Range. Just the three starred ones.
Okay, yeah, love it.
And whenever you're ready,
Can I say good morning?
You can say whatever you want to say.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Tell me when.
I'm rolling.
Good morning, everybody. This is Oliver Peck. You're waking up with Chuck Taylor and the All-Star Morning Show on 93.5 The Range.
On 95.3 The Range.
What did I say?
You said 93.5.
Oh, I did?
No,
you go.
just say on 95.3 The Range. I can edit it.
On 95.3 The Range.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna do this. Sturgill Simpson with John Prine's Paradise on 95.3 The Range, 8:25, and we're talking with Oliver Peck. And man, it is so great to have you in here. I was telling you before we went on the air that I'm a huge fan. I watched all 13 seasons of Ink Master. No offense to Chris Nunez, but you are my favorite on there.
You know, a lot of people say that.
Yeah. You no, you had this. I don't know, and maybe it's because you're from Texas, but you have this sensibility about you that nobody else had. You know, Dave didn't have it. Chris, they just didn't have it. You know, they didn't have that sensibility that you have. Maybe it's a Texas wit about you. I don't know how to put it.
I come from a long line of wit.
and the toothpick too. You know?
They tried to get me to get rid of the toothpick, and I said, "No, you hired me. This is what you get."
And that's what I loved. I think they allowed you to be you, right?
Well, they didn't have a choice. They tried.
Yeah.
You know, they tried to curtail and do a wardrobe and do this and have a stylist, and I'm like, no.
Now on the finals though, you did pull on like the.
Oh yeah, that's my signature move. Show off my expensive shirt.
The expensive shirt, or the I was thinking about the jacket that you had on.
Yeah,
the shiny jacket.
Oh yeah, the '60s sharkskin suit. But the first time we went on the finale, I walked out with my jacket, my suit, with no shirt on, and the producer's like, "Oliver, you have got to wear a shirt." And I said, "I'm wearing the most expensive shirt in the room." And they're like, "We can't argue with that." I mean, it's a tattoo show. What do you want from me? You know,
exactly.
If you can't show your tattoos on a tattoo show, what's going on?
That's true.
So,
was it easy or hard for you to judge those tattoos?
man, it was natural.
Yeah.
For the last 20 years, we just sit around tattoo shops looking at each other's tattoos, telling each other how much they suck. You know, and so, you know, everybody you work with always has tattoos they did themselves when they were kids, or got the first tattoos they got when they turned 18, and you know, it's just sit around and just tear them apart.
Yeah.
So I just went back to my roots and just ripped everybody a new one.
Well, you did good. Like I said, I watched all 13 episodes or 13 seasons. I keep saying 13 episodes. 13 seasons that you were on.
It was a great run.
It was a fantastic run.
I can't believe it went as long as it did.
It
really got, after season 3, 4, 5, it really got good and became a great show, not just for people that like tattoos, and it really bridged the gap. of this whole generation, from grandfather to son to grandson, people watching the show together. I get families coming up to me all the time. It's like, that's the show our family watches together.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the one show that it's nuts.
I-
People that don't have tattoos love it.
See, I have no tattoos right now. I'm waiting to get the first, and I've got to save up to get the first one because I want to get you or somebody from your shop to do the first one. That's been my plan for a long time.
We can make that happen.
But I've got this dream, and to me, it's got to be something that means something to you. And I've got this dream of what I want to do on it. But I never had a tattoo. My wife has a tattoo. My daughter, we got her a tattoo for her 18th birthday because that's something she wanted and it meant something. There was meaning behind it. But I just was fascinated by the artwork and the dedication, and like, you don't see apprenticeships in anymore in other businesses. You see it in the tattoo world, and it's the way people used to learn their trades. And it's, to me, it's
I
amazing.
mean, a real trade, that's the only way to learn.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta follow somebody and hands on and master a craft over years.
Yeah.
You know, there's no. You could go to school and learn everything you want about tattooing, but it means nothing
Yeah.
until you get right there in it.
Well, we've got to pay some bills, got to play some spots and stuff, but we got more with Oliver Peck and more music. And coming up a little bit later on, we'll do the impossible question with your chance to pick up tickets for the Mesquite Championship Rodeo this weekend with 95.3 The Range.
A long time ago, a wealthy Texas rancher set out on a cattle drive.
I'm going to just go straight into Earl Pitts instead of doing weather on this one.
This will be the longest ride that any cowboy ever knew, taking him through every part of the Lone Star State. Along the way, he would experience freedom and hardship, fortune and heartbreak. It truly was love and war in Texas. You can imagine that along the way, he worked up a pretty good appetite. No matter where he was, he always managed to find the best food each region had to offer. Well, the drive's over now, but the cuisine from this legendary adventure lives on at Love and War in Texas. From the West Texas high plains to the hill country, up from the border to the East Texas piney woods, and on down to the
What is the
northern Texas is Texas.
what's the biggest regret you have in your life? I mean, if you look back at your life now.
Oh man,
For a true taste tour of Texas, Love and War in Texas.
knowing what you know now.
Knowing what you know, what's your biggest regret?
To be honest, I wish I would have dropped out of high school
Yeah? Really?
and just started earlier. You know, knowing what I know now, I could have really killed it,
Yeah.
because I could have started really actually learning the tattoo sooner, and I could have been even that much, you know, ahead of the game.
But you, I don't know, you've made such a big name for yourself, and I mean, when I think tattoo artist, I mean, and I don't know the tattoo world, but you and Chris are the first, and maybe it's because of Ink Master, but you and Chris are the first two who came to mind. You before even Ink Master. When I found out you were going to be on Ink Master, I was like, I've definitely got to watch this show. You know, yes, Dave Navarro was a big plus for watching the show because I was a big fan of his music, but you know, knowing Matt for so many years and seeing all your work and stuff, I knew your name before I knew any other tattoo artist's name.
Yeah, I mean, I was already, you know, hustling and bustling and getting out there and networking and making trying to, you know, not really with the plan of making a name for myself, but this just did.
Yeah.
You know, just, which is why, you know, when they started filming that, when they got ready to film that show, they, everybody they talked to about, like, hey, we're going to do this show, blah, 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 everybody was like, you got to call Oliver Peck.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is, you know, so they called me, and I was like, I was not interested in doing television. You know, I was busy, and everything was great, and traveling and working, and I was like, oh man, now go sit in some studio for months on end. It's like not worth it to me.
Yeah.
You know,
And then you
in the
ended up-
long run, it ended up being worth it.
Yeah.
But I took the gamble on the first season after quite a bit of coercion, you know, and because first season money is not enough money to do it for the money.
Because they don't know if it's going to be a hit or
Yeah,
not.
I mean,
they don't know if it's going to last.
Yeah, if, you know, first time you do anything, it's not enough money to make. You can't, if you're doing it for the money, it's not enough money, you know.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing it just because a lot of my close friends in the tattoo industry was like, man, if you do this thing could be good. If you don't do this thing, whatever, you know. And I was kind of anti tattoo television prior to that. I'd had some experience with Miami Ink and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, they were trying to do some different reality
shows. It was just fake.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just phony. So I was just like, I'm not doing anything phony. And so when I talked with the producers, I was just like, look, if this is some gimmicky thing where we're gonna make if a tattoo's bad, I'm gonna say it's bad. If a tattoo's good, I'm gonna say it's good. I'm not gonna say a bad tattoo's good or if a good tattoo's bad. I'm not gonna play whatever, you know. And I'm gonna be myself, and I'm not gonna curtail myself and let y'all gonna have to just get what I get, and then you can edit from there.
Yeah.
So there was no kind of censorship, and everything was just like, what the fuck, you know. And then y'all edit all you want. So. But the editing power is pretty strong, especially when you get enough content.
Right.
So I tell people all the time, like they say, oh, this on the show, that on the show. I'm like, man, if I filmed you for 3 days, nonstop, 24 hours a day, I could make a video and I could make you anything I wanted you to be. I could make you the nicest guy in the world. I could make you a total fucking asshole. You know, because I could only use certain parts.
Right.
You know, and so that's what they do with that show. But certain people, like Cameron's an asshole. Cameron's no more an asshole than anybody else. They just show
They create their villains, so they create the intrigue. Right, kind of like those guys with Big Brother.
Well, season 2, I went into the production office. I just walked in, and they're having a meeting, and they're like, and the producer's like, "Oliver, you can't be in here." I'm like, "Too late." And then I look over, and there's a board like this, a huge board. There's a photo of every contestant, and it's like they're labeled up top, like what they are,
Wow.
like personality-wise. And so it's like they structure it, you know. But there's like bully, scaredy cat, fucking, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, all this stuff, and it's like, this guy's going to be the, you know, basically the villain and the hero and the blah 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 or whatever. So they're like, they got this guy who they're hyping up as this sweet, wonderful guy, but they know he's not going to win. But they know when he goes home, it's going to be the heartbreak episode.
Right.
So once he starts looking like he's about to go home, they start gearing up for that.
Wow.
Because you can kind of I can go through and look at all their work and be like, these 4 or 5 are going to make it to the end.
Right.
These 4 right here are the first 4 out.
Right.
Who knows which one of them is first, but it's one of these 4. Boom, 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 boom. We got to get these 4 are gone.
Yeah.
They're never going to make it. You know, just whichever one fucks up the most first, and then all this middle ground, just everybody's fighting for going home 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th.
Some of those challenges they had were so intense. I mean, these like
just crazy
stuff, right?
And I'm just like, you can't do that. I would quit. Like we're out in the feet at a farm, and it's 100 degrees out, and it's windy and dust is flying everywhere, and you got to paint on a barn wall with pig's blood.
Yeah.
And it stinks and it's terrible. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that.
Well, and
everybody's, what would you paint? I'm like, I won't paint nothing. I'd be gone.
I think my favorite episode was when they had to tattoo the cars.
Well, that was fun. That was season 1.
Yeah.
That was fun. And that was in the, you know, not an adverse atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, but some of the stuff they had to do, it was cold. You had to stack bricks for 6 hours.
Wow.
You know, and I'm just like, I'm not doing that. I tattoo for a living. I ain't stacking bricks.
Right.
Well, it hurt my hands.
But you didn't have to do it. You got to judge it.
I'm just what I'm saying, but I would quit.
Yeah.
Like they're like, what would you do if you don't eat Mr. I was like, I'd lose. Or quit. No way.
Did they ever? Maybe I'll ask this after
Maybe
Jesse.
if I was 21.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe when you were first starting, right?
The problem is that the kind of attitude it takes to be eager to want to do all those challenges is a young person who's not good enough at tattooing yet.
Right.
You know, so you get the really good tattooers that suck at the flash challenges because they're like, fuck this, I ain't doing this shit. You know, and then you got the young kids that are trying real hard to be all creative, but then they're just not good enough yet.
Was there anybody who just like super impressed you that you were like, man, I really love their work?
Oh, tons of them. There was at least 3 or 4 every season that I was just blown away by. But then there was 10 every season that I shouldn't even have been there.
Yeah.
But we definitely had a lot of fun.
Very cool, man.
Definitely had a lot of fun.
Jesse was posting a picture yesterday of the bike ride that he was doing to San Antonio. He was posting this Triumph that he has.
Oh yeah.
That is a sweet looking bike. It's that classic style.
Oh yeah. I used to have a bike almost exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the early '90s, I had a 70 Triumph.
What do you ride now?
I've got a handful of Harley Davidsons.
Yeah. You like Indians?
I'm more a Harley fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of like I like the Big Chiefs. I don't have one yet.
The new ones or
the old
yeah.
classics. I'm big into the bobber style bike. I love the bobber
Oh,
styles.
I've got a couple bobbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just there's something about them. My dad, when I was a kid, used to take us out. He had a 47 Panhead.
Oh yeah.
And he used
I got
to
a 49 Panhead.
He used to take us for rides on his 47 Panhead.
Way cooler than any Indian.
Yeah.
Way cooler.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
My brother one time was up visiting my dad in Buffalo, and he had bought a Yamaha. And my dad every morning would throw rice out behind his Yamaha and tell me he had a fuel leak.
Yeah.
All right.
This thing work out? Does that work?
Oh, yeah. KHYI 95.3 The Range. Jesse Dayton eating crow, drinking sand, and we're talking crow with Oliver Peck. Not eating any crow. We were talking while the song was playing and while Earl Pitts was going about Ink Master and the way things were going on.
And
on
y'all
the
missed
season.
it.
Well, our folks who are online watching on YouTube
See, there
and
you go.
Facebook got to
Totally
see the
candid.
behind the scenes stuff. But
Totally forgot we were doing that.
yeah, I had
What up, live guys?
you just keep that going right there. But it was interesting the way you were talking about how they could edit folks and build storylines and stuff like that.
Oh man, the power of editing is
Yeah.
amazing. Like I said just a minute ago, you film anybody long enough, you can edit them be whatever you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. But we also talked about the fact that you told them you weren't going to do any fake stuff. That you were, you walked in and said, if it's going to be fake, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, they weren't paying me Brad Pitt money.
You got to have that Brad Pitt money to do the fake stuff.
To be an actor,
Yeah.
you got to pay me Brad Pitt money. They only paid me Oliver Peck money, so I was just myself.
So when we talked about dressing up for the finals earlier and stuff like that, but when they were going, they never really picked the they never said, okay, this is the person that has to win. You guys kind of did that yourselves. You really judged it yourselves.
I mean, the real thing about the show is that it is a game show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever you want to think about it. Don't get people get real upset and they complain. I'm like, hey, you're arguing about a game show here. It's a game show. Bunch of contestants. Somebody's gonna win.
Somebody's going to lose.
It's a game show, and there is actual game show law.
Yeah.
You can't, like, the host's son can't win the game show. You know what I mean? But the producers can't interfere with the judge's decision.
Right.
So sometimes we would vote somebody off, and they're like, "Oh, but that's a great character. They were great for the show," and we're like, "They suck. They're out." That's how it goes.
So that's what I love. You're talking about not being fake, and it's like if they suck, they're gone.
a lot of people argued and said it was rigged and blah blah blah, and I was like, no way, no way. 100%. Me, Chris, and Dave argued and decided. Most of the times we agreed.
But there were a few of those finals where you guys did not agree.
Most of the time throughout the entire show, me, Chris, and Dave agreed on that. There was a few big disagreements here and there, and most of the time, me and Dave would agree, and Chris would be on the outside.
Right.
But a couple of times, I was by myself, and I was just like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
But in the end, the good thing is that it always proved that I was right.
There you go. Oh, that's what a Texan needs, right? Texan needs to know they're right all the time. That's part of our spirit here.
You got
in
a guy
Texas.
from Florida and a guy from California.
They're wrong.
I'm right in the middle. I know what's right. I'm right here in the middle. I know what's going on.
If
You're not in the middle, you're wrong.
If you had
There you go.
If you had to go back and do it again, would you do it again?
Man, we had so much fun doing that show, and I had no clue what I was getting into when I got into it. And I was previously friends with Chris Nunez for many, many years. We traveled tattooing together for years. And I was a huge fan of Dave and a huge fan of Jane's Addiction growing up as a kid. And so it was a pretty exciting thing to jump into, but I had no clue that it was going to go as long as it did. I had no clue it was going to be, we were going to be able to have so much fun. And
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we had so much fun doing it and that it seemed so genuine is why there's so many fans. Why so many people, it's just, people love it. And I think they feel that it's real.
I think it was. Well, you've just pretty much, said that it was, for the most part, pretty real. I mean, except for the editing.
What happens in the house?
Yeah.
With all the drama and all the whatever and ever, I was never in there.
Right.
I don't know what's going on up there. I see the show and I'm like, these kids are crazy, But, they actually do tattoos.
Yeah.
We actually look at them and we actually tell them they suck and somebody wins.
And somebody loses.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people lose.
A lot of people lose. A lot of people lose. All but one lose, I guess is the way. It was just such an interesting show to watch. It really was. And me, growing up, I love art, right? And I'm pretty sure you love art, and you're an artist.
Yeah.
The work on there, for most of them, some of them were bad, but for the most part, the work that they did was just like incredible. It's like, how do they do that?
And the other misleading thing about the show is that people would get sent home, especially towards the end, with really good tattoos.
Yeah.
And we would say the bad things about those tattoos, but there's still a lot of great tattoos, but one has to win.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to go home.
Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose.
Every day, somebody's got to go home. So no matter how good your tattoo is, somebody's going home. So we would, in the editing, I would talk about how a tattoo was good and then say, but this one is better, this one. But in the editing, you only have so many seconds. So they just show me saying it's bad.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I thought that tattoo was great. I was like, yeah, it was great. But it didn't win. You don't have to, So it's, the editing is a good tool, and it's also sometimes, it can leave a sour taste in the mouth of someone who did a great tattoo and still had to go home.
Right.
Because they heard me say what I said to them, hey, you did a great tattoo, blah, 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 blah. But the world always heard was like, you suck, you're going home.
Right. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
But every one of those tattoos, hundreds of tattoos a season, I would critique and talk on it for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is
way too long for
30
them.
seconds
Yeah.
of television time.
Yeah.
So
All condensed. It'd be cool to go back and look at the unedited version of the show.
So they pull a tattoo up on the screen. I talk about it. Dave talks about it. Chris talks about it. It's like all day to talk about all these tattoos. And then in the end, it's like one of us says like 2 or 3 snippets and then next tattoo. Because you only have 42 minutes for a television show. My idea was like every week you should take a really good critique and show the full critique online.
Yeah. Put it on your YouTube, your Venmo.
I thought it would be great because
Vimeo.
then people could see what a full critique is like and hear all the good things about a tattoo instead of just hearing the bad things or hear, whatever it is. Because even the tattoo that wins still got some negative critiques.
Right.
But if it's the winning tattoo, they don't show the negative critiques, which I like about the finale because it's live.
They have to show.
And if a tattoo's great, still going to say what's wrong with it or what's bad about it or, to try to weigh out the balances. pick actually who winners, because the last couple seasons it was close. Early on, season 2, 3, 4,
It was a
like
blowout.
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It was like everybody knows who's winning. We just try to have to not spill the beans too quick. You know
Right.
what I mean? But you look at the 3 tattoos at season 2 and 3, and you're like, oh, you definitely know who's winning.
Yeah.
Not a surprise here.
Well, man, I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me this
Oh
morning.
man, thank you for having me, man.
I like I said, big
My
fan.
buddy Isaiah said you're a great guy.
Well, I hope I keep that true. I hope I make that true. I've watched you, like I said, for years on TV. I've been a fan of your work with Matt. We've talked about that, and now to finally get to hang out with you for an hour, it's been really cool, man.
Well, Matt and Steve had the radio show on here for a while.
Yeah, the Country Jam radio show.
And that radio show started out at my house.
Really, they
I had
started.
an internet radio channel called Compound Radio, and they started their country show there. And then they're like, "Hey, we got an opportunity to do it on the real radio." And I'm like,
Take it.
"Yeah, awesome."
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Well, you are welcome back anytime you want to come in, you want to pick some music or anything and come hang out, or if you want to come to TMR next year, TMR 26,
Love it.
when we do that, we'll have you out there for it.
Love it. And we got to get you out to Yellow Rose Canyon.
Yeah, I definitely want to come out there. This weekend it opens up. Vandaliers are going to be playing Black Sunday and
Matt the Cat.
Matt the Cat.
And Abraham Alexander.
Abraham
Have you heard
Alexander.
him?
I've heard Abraham.
Oh
yeah.
man, beautiful voice.
Fantastic
Beautiful voice.
Fantastic.
Him and Isaiah from 40 Acre Mule are really
Yeah.
good friends. He went on a tour, opened up for Leon Bridges. He's great. I think he's gonna skyrocket.
He's gonna skyrocket
Yeah,
big time.
I think he is.
Oliver Peck, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
We're going to do some Ward Davis here on KHYI 95.3 The Range. Get to work, Whiskey. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man.
And I mean that sincerely. I've enjoyed getting to know you and hanging out with you.
Well, hell yeah.
So
This is a
anytime-
pleasant experience.
and anytime you want to come in, or you want to be on Brett's show, or you just want to come hang out, you're welcome. And TMR, I'd love to, like, next year maybe have you come do like if we bring like back 40 Acre or Vandaliers or somebody, like, come do the stage intro for them.
All right. Love to do that. Love to do that. Well, yeah, just let me. I mean, I'm down